Guys, I cannot believe this right now. I actually get to make a Monster Hunter video. I'm so excited right now. Like, I love Monster Hunter. It's my favorite video game series of all time. So I'm really hyped to make this video. Hey guys, what's going on? My name's Ryan Kelly, and today I'm going to be talking about Monster Hunter. Now, you might be wondering, what is Monster Hunter? Well, I'll explain it to you. Monster Hunter is a game where you're a hunter and you fight monsters. And whenever you kill these monsters, you get materials from them. And you use those materials to make weapons and armor, which you can use to fight stronger monsters. And the stronger monsters are obviously the more fun ones, so you want to keep going up and up and up in ranking until you can fight the strongest and biggest monsters. And today, I want to talk about my top 10 favorite monsters from Monster Hunter. The only rules for this video is I'm not going to be talking about elder dragons, I'm not going to be talking about subspecies, and I'm not going to be talking about deviant monsters. So if there's a deviant monster you really like, you're not going to see it in this top 10 because those monsters will be getting their own top 10s in the future. Anyway, now that I've explained the rules, let's start hunting! I started my Monster Hunter journey in Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, and I remember not knowing what to do at all, and having to look up guides on how to play the game and how it worked. I did not play a lot of Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate when I first got the game, because it was way too confusing for me at the time. But 2 years later in 2015, my friend convinced me to get Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, which I really got into, and that was the game where I learned how Monster Hunter kind of worked. So when I got burned out on Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, I went back to Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, and I remember still being on the Great Jaggy fight, so I had a lot of playing to do. Of course, there were a lot of monsters from this game that I didn't know about, so when I played through the game a little bit more and saw the Barroth for the first time, I knew that I would love this game. The Barroth was a monster that you fought early on in the game, but I really enjoyed the fight and I loved its simple appearance. I liked the Barroth's attack pattern because they were so different from the other monsters in Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate that I had fought up to that point. It would shake its back and mud would fly everywhere. If any of its mud landed on you, you would be stuck in a mud ball and have to force your way out. But the Barroth's main attack would involve charging you with its head, which is terrifying because of how big it is. The Barroth also has a really cool subspecies, no pun intended by the way, that I also really enjoyed fighting, but that's for another video. The Barroth's armor is not the best armor you can get in the game, but when I was first starting, I really wanted his armor. I used to only use hammers, so when I was making Barroth's armor, I had a hard time getting a tail from it, because obviously hammers can't cut tails off, so I remember spending so much time trying to get the tail, but failing because I didn't know how to use another weapon besides the hammer. Finally, I got the tail I needed by learning how to use the switch axe. I'll always remember this monster because it was the monster that made me learn a new weapon and show me how much work you have to put into the game to get what you want. When I was playing through Monster Hunter Generations, I tried my hardest to avoid looking up any of the new and old monsters that were going to be added to the game. So, when it finally came out, I was excited to see the monsters that I would be fighting. For the most part, I had fought all the monsters that were in low rank, until I saw this monster's name and picture appear on a quest. I thought I was going to be fighting a clone of the Deviljho Hermitar, but boy, I was wrong. The Shogun CEANATUAR is a way better fight than the Deviljho Hermitar that I was so used to fighting. The Shogun CEANATUAR has long, sharp claws that can do a lot of damage if it hits you. But what makes the claws special is the fact that they can cause you bleeding damage. For 4 generations, the only monster that could cause bleeding damage was the Deviljhos. So when I saw the Shogun CEANATUAR give me bleeding damage, I was shocked and excited because there are other monsters that can cause bleeding damage now. One of the cool things about the Shogun CEANATUAR is the fact that a shell on its back can change. It could be a Gravios skull, a snail-like shell, and a skull belonging to an unknown wyvern. Speaking of its appearance, the Shogun CEANATUAR has a great design. I love how it looks and fights so much differently from the Daimyo Hermitar. And one of the main reasons why the Shogun CEANATUAR is on this list is because of how great its armor is for low and high rank. The armor has the ability Razor Sharp, which makes your sharpness on your weapon drain at half the rate it normally would. So if you have a hammer with a little bit of green sharpness, if you have Razor Sharp, that green sharpness will last 2 times as long, which is really useful if you have a weapon that has high sharpness, but the highest sharpness has a small amount so it doesn't last for long. I use this armor set for all of low rank and a little bit of high rank, so it's definitely a useful set to have. Playing through Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate was one of my favorite gaming experiences I've ever had. The game has so much to offer, and it seems like the monsters were endless. When I first started playing the game, I had to have help on understanding the game and how to play it. My friend wanted me to beat every HR quest with him, so I did because I thought you had to do that in order to advance HR rank, which for anyone who doesn't know, HR stands for Hunter's rank. I remember having a hard but fun time fighting a Ketchawacha, which is one of the starting monsters in the game. So, when my friend told me we had to fight something stronger than that, and it was in a new area, I knew that I was going to be having a fun time beating this new monster. The new monster I had to fight was the TETSUCABRA. The TETSUCABRA has 2 huge tusks that it uses to dig up rocks from the ground and tries to crush you with. It can also charge and jump on top of you with the rocks in its mouth. So it is a monster that starts to introduce some more strategy to fighting monsters. The reason why I love this monster so much is because it was so fun to wail on it with my hammer and break its tusks. As I mentioned before, hammer is my main weapon, so any monster that is easy to fight when you use a hammer is going to be a monster that I'm going to have more fun fighting. And plus, getting a KO on a monster is one of the most satisfying things, and since the TETSUCABRA mainly uses its head for attacks, it's easier to hit, and that means it's easier to KO. The TETSUCABRA armor was the armor set that I used to always use whenever I was just starting the game. It has great defense for the point I was in the game, and it looks cool. But then I was introduced to Shogun's armor set, and that changed my mind. I have probably fought the TETSUCABRA at least 100 times, and it still never gets old to fight. Monster Hunter has tons of different types of monsters, but one of my favorite types has to be fire monsters. I have a love-hate relationship with them. There are some monsters that I really enjoy fighting, but there are other monsters that I can't even stand to look at. I had heard of this monster from some of my friends that it was one of the coolest fire monsters to fight, so I was pretty excited to fight it, and once I got to the point in the game where I could fight it, you bet I was hyped. I remember not knowing what I was going into and preparing myself for anything that it could throw at me, but once I found it, I learned very quickly I was not ready for the twists that the AGNAKTOR had in store for me. I knew as soon as I saw the AGNAKTOR that it would become one of my favorite monsters. This monster is unique because the only way you can hit it without your weapon bouncing off of it is when it's covered in a lava armor. I love this concept because it adds so much more to the fight. You have to break his lava armor before it hardens, if you want to be able to keep hitting it without bouncing off, that is. And you actually want it to go underground into the lava so that it gets its armor back. It has a very powerful fire beam that you want to avoid at all costs, or else it'll do some damage to you. It also has some pretty cool looking armor with some good abilities. In Monster Hunter Generation, it has a new ability called Hot Blooded, which makes you not need to use any cool drinks while in lava areas. And if you drink a hot drink, your defense goes up. The AGNAKTOR will always be fun to fight to me because the fight with him will never be the same, and I love looking at his lit appearance. Get it? It's lit appearance. It's because he's a fire monster and he's covered in lava. Lit? Huh? Okay. Yeah, this is what happens when I try to make puns. They always end badly. And it took many long hours, but I had finally beaten low rank for the first time, and I had no idea what to expect going to high rank. By this point, I had made some new Monster Hunter friends, who were a lot more experienced than I was, and they were helping me get into high rank. They told me I needed to beat some random guild quests before I could fight any of the high rank monsters. So of course, me not knowing anything about high rank and being gullible, I agreed to go on the quest. They chose some random quest collecting suit stone. The quest was called Splendid Suit Stone for anyone who's curious. When we started on the quest, everything seemed normal, but that changed as soon as the Fire Nation attacked. I'm sorry, I meant to say, but that changed as soon as I was greeted by a Deviljho. The Deviljho is one of the most intimidating monsters from the series. I mean, it has devil in the name. That alone should show you how strong this monster is. Of course, me being a scrub still and barely being in high rank, when I first fought the monster, it almost one-shotted me with a tail whip. A frickin' tail whip. In Pokemon, tail whip doesn't even do damage to you. But the Deviljho's tail whip almost one-shotted me. So I knew I would have a lot of training to do before being able to beat one by myself. After playing through most of high rank, I unlocked a quest that allowed me to be able to fight a Deviljho. I was ready to finally take down this beast by myself. It was a long fight that almost lasted an hour, but I did it. I finally managed to kill a Deviljho. That was one of the most satisfying moments that I had in Monster Hunter. The Deviljho has several high damaging attacks, but its most notable one is its Dragon Breath. It does a lot of damage to you, and if you get hit by it, you'll get hit by Dragon Blight, which is bad because your weapon becomes weaker if you're using it to get a status boost on the Deviljho or another monster you're fighting, if you're fighting two monsters at the same time, that is. If you manage to survive through the Deviljho's attacks, then you're rewarded with its talons, which are used for armor talons and power talons, which make your weapons and armor stronger, which is really useful for G rank. I would do this if you haven't done it already. Also, the Deviljho has some good weapons that are powerful and have dragon element on it. A little side note, I filmed a video with a friend of mine who also had just gotten into high rank and did not know much about the new high rank monsters. So, I took him to the same mission that I went to, and here's the video that came from it.
Oh look, Velociraptor.
Oh wait, come back in here.
What?
I need your help.
Oh no.
I need your help. I need your help with something, please. Just come back in here. Okay, you back in here?
No, it's loading.
I need your
Where
help.
are you at?
I need your help. Come over here.
You mean go all the way over there with the suit stone?
Come over here, yeah. It's fine. Come over here.
What is this?
Come over here.
Where are you?
Do you see me?
I see the big ogre. What is this?
Ladies and gentlemen, I present
What
to
is
you
this?
the surprise monster.
What is this?
It's a Deviljho.
Ah!
Surprise! Surprise!
Ah!
I one-shotted me.
What is this abomination against nature? What?
Yeah, Ray, we're not gonna be able to beat this thing. I just wanted to show it to you. Monster Hunter Generations was a game that I was super hyped for, so when I saw it was coming out in July 15th during the summertime, I knew that this was going to be a huge chunk of my summer just gone playing through this game. I did know that it introduced 5 new monsters to the series. For the most part, I didn't know what they looked like. Unfortunately, I saw the box art for the game before it came out, and that's when I was introduced to CLAVENUS. When I first saw CLAVENUS, I thought it was going to be a subspecies of the Deviljho, but I soon learned that I was wrong. It's a dinosaur that has a long metallic tail that it bites down to make catch on fire. If that doesn't sound cool to you, then I don't know what to tell you, man. I really don't. It also has this move where it bites down on its tail and then spins like a ballerina. If I saw a huge dinosaur spinning at me at full speed, I would just accept my fate and just take the hit. Honestly, there's nothing you can really do at that point. CLAVENUS is one of the 4 flagship monsters from Monster Hunter Generations, and it's the only new monster that got a deviant monster, which is even cooler than the original, but again, that's a different video. The CLAVENUS has some really great armor and weapons. The low rank armor has hard polish, which makes your weapon stay at max sharpness for a minute without it dulling. The high rank armor set gets handicraft, which adds 2 points to your sharpness, so if your weapon has high green sharpness, then it would jump up to blue sharpness, and maybe even white sharpness depending on the amount of blue sharpness in your weapon or green sharpness in your weapon. And the weapons that you get from the CLAVENUS are some of Monster Hunter Generation's best fire weapons, besides the Hellblade's fire weapons, of course. I'm sorry, I just really love the Hellblade CLAVENUS. I had a very hard time choosing what monster I wanted to give this spot. In the end, I had to go with the monster that I was hyped to fight since 2013. I saw this monster in the title scene of Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, and I knew as soon as I saw it, I wanted to fight it. That monster is, of course, the LAGIACRUS. The LAGIACRUS was one of my first Monster Hunter monsters to see, so I already had high hopes that this game was going to be a good one. Of course, as I said before, I gave up on Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate in 2013 and came back to it in 2015, after Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. At this point, my wait to fight the LAGIACRUS had gotten pretty long. When I finally did get to fight it, I instantly fell in love with the fight. In Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, it swam in the water for the most part. By the way, I actually liked the swimming mechanic in Monster Hunter. Don't tell anyone though, because a lot of people will get upset by that. Anyway, the LAGIACRUS fight consisted of a lot of thunderbolts and fast charges towards you when it was in the water. But when it got on land, it would charge you, try to flatten you like a pancake, and do this move that caused lightning to pulse out of it. This attack was one of his hardest attacks to dodge. I think I love this fight so much because this monster was powerful and it made you have to start grinding monsters to get better weapons and armor so that you could beat it. The LAGIACRUS was present in Monster Hunter Generations, but since the game got rid of the water mechanic, I feel that the fight wasn't as fun or as memorable. I really like the way the armor looks, but I'm not a big fan of using its armor, mainly because when I was playing through low rank in Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, I never got its plates. I needed just one plate to complete the armor set, and I never got it, but then I went to high rank and started recording some footage for this video, and I got a plate on the first try. I had the same problem with another monster, but I'm gonna talk about that monster later. Remember how I said the LAGIACRUS was the monster I was so hyped to fight? Well, this was the monster that got me to buy the game. My friend told me to get Monster Hunter because you could fight monsters like this. He showed me a picture of this monster and I knew I wanted to fight it. Now, what's different between this monster and the LAGIACRUS is the fact that I got to fight this monster in Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, so I did not have to wait as long as I did to fight the LAGIACRUS. Anyway, I bet you're wondering what the monster is. Well, it is the monster that I fought the most out of every monster I fought. That monster is, of course, the BRACHYDIOS. I love everything about the BRACHYDIOS. I love the fight, I love its appearance, I love its weapons and armors, and I love how creative it is from a lot of the other monsters. In Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, the BRACHYDIOS has an element called slime, which made it so that if the slime hits you or the ground, it would explode after a certain amount of time. During the fight with the BRACHYDIOS, it would slam his head and arms on the ground, causing this slime explosion, which would do a lot of damage. This ability is unique to the BRACHYDIOS still to this day. Of course, a subspecies, the enraged BRACHYDIOS, can do this too, but that's a subspecies, so it's still unique to the BRACHYDIOS line. Now, what made this broken is the fact that you could make its weapons and they would have the slime element, which meant the weapon could get critical hits as well as exploding slime hits. Or you can get both of them at the same time, which does a lot of damage. So you can probably see why I love using his weapons in Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, and in Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, and in Monster Hunter Generations. In Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, however, they changed the slime element to the blast element, which other monsters like Teostra and Hellblade CLAVENUS can use. They fixed how broken the slime was, but it took away some of BRACHYDIOS' swag points. Anyway, I love BRACHYDIOS in every game because it's always fun to fight, and the fight is different every time. I fought this monster so many times in Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate so I could get its armor and weapons. I love the BRACHYDIOS, and I hope that it will appear in more games in the future. Let's be real, it will. It's the freaking BRACHYDIOS. Monster Hunter Generation had so many great monsters that you could fight. I spent so much time playing through the single player mode and the online mode so that I could fight every monster the game had to offer. While I was playing through the game and moving up in HR, I had finally gotten to the point where I was almost done with low rank, but I had to fight the 4 flagship monsters from the game. Now you're probably thinking, I already talked about CLAVENUS. What flagship monster do I think is better than that one? Well, this one is an extremely personal choice, but I fell in love with GAMMOTH. At first I was not a huge fan of Gammoth. No pun intended, by the way. But then I fought it for the first time in low rank, and loved how awesome its music was, and how awesome it was to mount this huge mammoth. Gammoth would bury its trunk in the snow and spray a snowstorm to try to get you stuck in a ball of ice. And then Gammoth would stomp on the ground, so the fight with it could go really bad if you fell into any of its traps. But my real connection with Gammoth didn't start until I was at high rank. I fought it as an urgent quest in high rank and didn't think anything of the fight. It was pretty much the exact same as the fight in low rank. I had one of my Monster Hunter friends tell me that Gammoth's high rank armor was really good, so of course I was set on making his armor set. So I had everything I needed to make its armor set except for its trunks, and I was getting pretty mad because I was not able to get an item that had a 70% chance of getting. I discovered after fighting him around 20 times, all in one night by the way, that you have a 90% chance of getting a trunk in low rank. And of course, I got all the trunks I needed within 2 or 3 times fighting it in low rank. I had finally made Gammoth's armor set, and it is by far my favorite armor set that I have ever made in Monster Hunter. The armor set has Cold-Blooded, which is also a new ability in Monster Hunter Generations, and what it does is it makes it so you don't need to use hot drinks while in a cold area, and if you use a cold drink in a cold area, your defense goes up. And it has the ability Part Breaker, which makes it easier to break a body part of a monster, which is extremely useful if you're looking for a specific part of a monster. This was the perfect armor set for a hammer user. You might be thinking, why would you like Gammoth if you got so mad at it for not giving you the trunks you needed? Well, I like Gammoth because the fight grew on me, its appearance grew on me, and its armor set was my first fully maxed out set. Even though Gammoth might not be liked by people, I will always like to fight this monster. In my playthrough of Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, I fought against all sorts of great monsters, but none of them stuck out to me more than this one did. This monster could get the #1 spot just because of his appearance alone. A lot of people don't give this monster the respect that it deserves. When I first saw this monster, it instantly became my favorite monster in the Monster Hunter series. That monster is, of course, the one and the only Zamtrios. Zamtrios is a shark with legs. That is the best thing ever. Even the shark from Jaws would be terrified of it. This monster has 3 different forms. It has its normal form, its icy shield form, I don't know if that's the actual name of it, that's just what I call it, and its fat form? The icy shield form, again, sorry for the name, I just made it up, is where Zamtrios covers itself in ice so that it's harder to break parts of his body, and so its horn can do more damage to you. And the fat form is where its whole body expands into a bubbly form and shoots ice out of its stomach and rolls all over you. This monster has so much going for it, and it also has some great ice weapons. I never did make his armor set, so I wouldn't know if it's good or not. I just looked it up, and it's actually not that good of an armor set, but it looks cool. Sometimes there's a monster you just look at, and you're just like, wow, that monster is amazing. I don't know why I love it so much, I just do. Zamtrios doesn't have any personal connection with me like Gammoth does, but it'll always be my favorite monster. Well, for now anyway, until a new Monster Hunter game comes out. As you can see, there are a lot of great monsters in the Monster Hunter series. I mean, there are so many I didn't even get to talk about that I love. I think the reason why I love this game so much is because it's literally all bosses. I mean, one of my favorite parts of video games are boss fights, so a game that's all bosses, you know I'm gonna love it. So, if you're new to the Monster Hunter community, or you're a veteran who plays a lot of Monster Hunter, I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope you learned a little bit more about Monster Hunter. If you did, let me know in the comments below. Also, let me know if you liked this video, or if you disliked it. Let me know what I did right and what I did wrong about this video. Also, if you want to support me, make sure to like the video, and make sure to subscribe to the channel to see more content. Thank you guys for watching. My name's Ryan Kelly, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace! Wow, this video took a really long time to make, but I'm glad I made it because I want to show you guys my love for Monster Hunter, if that isn't clear enough already, because I love Monster Hunter, and any excuse I have to talk about Monster Hunter, I will. And if you guys want me to talk about Monster Hunter even more, let me know in the comments, and I totally will. Even if you guys don't want me to, I'm still going to anyway, because I want to talk about it some more. It's Monster Hunter. Anyway, there are two videos you can watch. You can watch my Know Your Bosses video on the Catch a Watcha, or you can watch his random second video. I don't even know what it is. It's probably something old or something new. It's there though, and it's an option. I don't know what it is yet though. So, how's your day been? My day's been pretty good. I've been doing a lot of recording today because I've had an illness and I haven't been able to record for a while. But I'm back now, recording like a storm. Recording like a storm. This is what happens when I don't have a script in front of me. I just make up stuff and it sounds really bad. That's why you always gotta give me a script so my content is kind of funny. This is just awkward. At least I think it's awkward. I don't know. Anyway, click a video now or else I'm gonna have to like whimper in a corner. Because, you know, my back's really hurting. I've been under my desk for like an hour and a half now recording just like audio and all that kind of stuff.